All right, very good. So let's go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, if you have any questions as we go through the presentation, just plug them into the chat. We'll have that Q&A towards the end. So exchanging personal identifiable information securely is challenging. If companies today mishandle PII, such as social security numbers or credit card numbers, by sending them through non-secure methods like email, not only do they put their customers at risk of identity theft or false charges on their credit cards, they put their companies at risk of costly fines due to HIPAA or PCI violations. So with SendSecure Cloud, we minimize that risk. We can help. So my name is Brad Cibula, Solutions Architect for XMedius. I work with clients around the globe, such as Xerox, Fidelity Investments, and Innova Healthcare. My primary goal is to solve business challenges associated to the secure exchange of documents. So at the end of the day, I lower costs, keep companies in compliance with regulations, and make them more productive with XMedius solutions. So here's a quote from one of our customers, Catherine Fletcher from Southeastern Orthopedic Specialists, had this to say: when it comes to the secure exchange of PHI, I rely on XM SendSecure, and hopefully we can help you in a similar way. So my goal today is to have you walk away with a clear understanding of what SendSecure is and how we can solve your challenges, and ultimately have you choose SendSecure as your solution moving forward. So during the next 30 minutes, we'll cover the following 5 points. First, we will address the challenges of secure file exchange. Next, we will show how we can help with our latest innovation called XM SendSecure. We will provide a demonstration of our solution and then share why you would be interested in XM SendSecure. And finally, what is the value we bring to the table for you? What follows are the biggest challenges that our clients are typically facing. Files are too large. The most common method used today to exchange files is email. Most email servers only exchange up to 35 megabytes, so exchanging large files is a challenge. We've all had the frustration of files being too large to send via email, and it just makes you want to punch the computer. I get that. The challenge here is that employees will find a way to get their files transferred. It will either involve bogging down IT or the use of unprotected public sources like a free Dropbox or Google Drive. And this takes expensive IT resources away from other important tasks and puts data at risk of breach in free public resource tools. Systems are too complex. Employees are always complaining that their systems are too complex to use, so they get frustrated and they just avoid using them. If your systems are not easy, then employees just forget about security and take more risk. This puts your employees and your clients at risk of their private information getting into the wrong hands. Lack of security. A 2016 study from the Ponemon Institute says that half of data breaches are due to hackers hitting vulnerable businesses that lack robust security solutions. The other half is from employee mistakes, such as sending sensitive information via unsecure email. Hackers are just looking for vulnerable business or individuals sending personal information like credit card and numbers. This can cause your businesses to be sued or risk getting a PCI violation that can cost you $25,000 on a first offense and $250,000 on a second offense. Another challenge is facing compliance and regulations. It's challenging to keep up and keep in compliance with regulations such as SOX, PCI, FERPA, and HIPAA. If you violate a HIPAA regulation, for example, they don't care who you are, your company will get fined and employees' careers will be put at risk. So do any of the challenges sound familiar to you? You can feel free, as I mentioned, and make some comments into the chat or raise your hand. We just covered several challenges that we hear daily in our business dealings with clients. So please raise your hand by note or typing a note in the chat section if you're experiencing any of the challenges that we just described. I do see several hands already, so this is typical. And as I mentioned, just to be clear, if I have missed any challenges you might be facing, please type it into the chat and we'll talk about that towards the end. So let's talk about how we can help. Now that we know some of the key challenges that are being faced, let's take a look at how our new state-of-the-art secure file exchange platform can solve all the challenges mentioned today. Today we will start off by showing you a short 3-minute video that introduces XM SendSecure, the most robust, highly secure, and simple to use file exchange platform that has an audit trail that will keep you in compliance. So I'm just going to take a moment here. I'll load the video and hopefully the sound will be okay. And then we'll come back and continue on with our slide deck here. So just give me one moment while I set that up. All right. Well, hopefully you were able to see and hear that video well enough. I know sometimes some users experience issues with the audio. If you do have any problems, we can send a link to where you can actually download or review the file, and we'll include that at the end of the session here. So let's talk about how else we can help then. We built XM SendSecure from the ground up, keeping in mind the latest threats and the feature sets needed for a state-of-the-art file exchange platform. We're not stopping here. We are all about continuous improvement and development. We are a software developer with over 20 years of experience developing software that helps exchange documents. We are adding new robust features and capabilities based upon the feedback that we are getting from customers just like yourselves. As an organization, we take security seriously. XMedius is ISO IEC 27001 certified. This means that our company pays to get audited every year to ensure that our platforms and our processes are secure for you, our customers. And we succeed through satisfied customers. We have a 96.8 customer satisfaction rating from surveys by our customers on our products and support that we offer. And at the end of the day, we are most proud that our software is inherently intuitive and simple to use. It is as easy as sending an email. Now, I would like to share a few robust features that separate us from the competition, and that will help you meet the challenges that we have been talking about today. Double encryption, TLS 1.2, and transit AES 256 at rest. So first and foremost, we offer encryption from end to end. We use TLS 1.2 in transit and AES 256 while the files are at rest in our virtual safe boxes. We took it a step further and developed a double encryption feature. What this means is that there are two encryption keys. One resides in our key management server and the other on the recipient's computer. So without both keys, nobody will ever be able to decrypt your data. The benefit is that it keeps your data safe and keeps hackers out of your business. Remember, hackers go after vulnerable opportunities, not ones that are protected. Next is our ephemeral SafeBox. It is intended to have a very short life cycle, and this is where the documents reside during the exchange. So every SafeBox has its own encryption keys for access. When a SafeBox closes, everything is deleted based on a predefined retention policy set up by the sender. Two-Factor Authentication is a must to be in compliance with most regulations and strict IT departments evaluating solutions like ours. When a recipient receives a message, they must enter a one-time authentication code via SMS, voice call, or email. And this way we know who they are and that the message is being received by the intended recipient. The value is that we now have an audit trail back to that computer and user, and we can prove that they in fact authenticated themselves to receive the message. We developed a feature called Byte Track to track how much of a file has been downloaded so that we have proof of delivery. We track at the transport layer versus many of our competitors who track at the application layer. And what this means is that we do not get any false download notifications. We know when a document has not been completely downloaded. At the byte level, we are able to track the download of files with 100% accuracy. We must because we provide a signed audit record that can be taken to a court of law to prove that a file has in fact been downloaded by a recipient. We have an Outlook plugin. We integrate with Outlook for Windows. We have a simple plugin that allows for XM SendSecure message to be sent from Outlook with a click of a button. And we even offer a convert button that converts an email you're already working on into a SendSecure message. Being in the document exchange industry for more than 2 decades has afforded us the opportunity to work with some world-class companies and governmental institutions solving their business challenges. And there was a list here, if I just go back before it skips out on me. Here is a list of some of the customers that we have here that you might be familiar with. So now I'd like to give you a live demo of the XM SendSecure product. So I'll just go ahead in one moment and I'll So now just gone ahead and brought up my screen here so we can give you an actual live demo, show you what the SendSecure platform and interface looks like. Here we're showing off the browser access. We do also have an Outlook plugin that we'll show in a moment. But you'll be able to drive to your XM SendSecure account using the browser, and your users will be able to enter their credentials to log into their own secure portal. Now, once you're logged in, you'll see an interface here where you see on the left-hand side a previous SafeBoxes that you've worked with. You'll see a banner towards the top here that gives you different activities and options. But to start up a new SafeBox, you simply click on the new button here, and then it'll bring up an interface that's pretty user-friendly to use. Similar to often if you're sending email, it'll be a similar interface to that. You have your recipients area where you would enter the email and phone number of any recipients you want to add and grant access to the SafeBox. And you notice once you start typing, you can't set up favorites that you work with, so it will auto-populate those recipients. And you can continue to add multiple recipients, however many you need to grant access. So you can have an email address at minimum and a phone number in order to have out-of-band authentication. You have a subject area, and you can also add any messages as well. Here's a brochure. We'll just add as a message, but at that point you can drag and drop whatever attachments you want to upload to that SafeBox, or click on the Browse button to drive to them. Here I'll add in a simple PDF or a brochure, but you can have different files. You can decide what file types are allowed or forbidden. Each SafeBox does allow up to 5 terabytes of data to be stored in it, so it does allow for large file transfer. Now, towards the bottom, you have the security options area. If I click on more, this covers some of the options that can be configured. So previously, administrators can define previously security option workflows. If you do have certain common workflows that you often use, these can be set up so you can select those easily from the drop-down. Some examples include a restricted most extreme security option. In this case, it would require out-of-band authentication, such as an SMS or a text call in order to authenticate. Messages and attachments are all encrypted, and we perform that double encryption that way we're talking about. And then the retention policies of the SafeBox. In this case, it would be closed after 7 days with no retention. Another option may be for the the large file transfer. In this case, we have it set up for public low security, we're calling it, for large file transfer, and we're not requiring any authentication at all and no retention. It closes after 7 days. This is just a way to share out file types that might not work via email. Some other common workflows that we'll see is a sender's choice, where the user or the sender themselves can define the settings of the security options ad hoc, covering such things as whether participants can reply or see each other within the SafeBox. There is an option to add messages and communicate, collaborate. And then with content is retained, and when the SafeBox is closed, when it expires, can all be configured through here. And then also how security code delivery methods are sent, as we talked about, to an email, a voice, or a text message. So these can be predefined, so users can select from the drop-down or create a user's choice or sender's choice, as we just talked about. In this case, I'll use our default security options that have been configured. And now when I click Send, those recipients that we added at the beginning will get an email notification that that SafeBox has been opened up, and they'll have a link where they can click on in order to validate and authenticate themselves. So you can do this, as we're showing here, through the web portal. I'll just drive over to my email here to show you what that looks like as far as the recipient. Here's an example of the email that they would receive. Customers can brand these notifications, put your own coloring schemes and logos on here. And then the recipient is given a link where they can click on this link to access that SafeBox. I'll go ahead. I sent this to myself, so I'll just authenticate in another session and copy and paste this link. But once that recipient clicks on that link, it drives them to a browser session, and they can then request the security code. That could be via email, text message, SMS, or a voice call. You can configure how long these security codes are valid for. In this case, it's been set for 5 minutes. I'll request it to be sent via email in this case, so I'll show you what that email looks like. And we'll get a code here where we can then enter that and verify who we are. You do have the option to enable a remember me for the user so that they don't, if they need to reaccess the SafeBox, they don't have to enter that or request a new code each time. So I'm just driving back to my email, and here's the code I requested via email. I can copy and paste that or just plug that in, 1367 in this case. So now I'm verifying who I am. It's been successfully verified, and now I have access to that SafeBox. I can see the messages. Here's the brochure and the actual file itself, in this case that PDF. So clicking on it, it now downloads in my browser session. And there's the actual files that are now available through that secure SafeBox, in this case the PDF brochure. So we showed this off, as I mentioned, via the web portal. I'll just drive back to my email here to show you that we do also have an Outlook plugin. So you can do all the exact same thing without even leaving your Outlook. You'll notice in the top banner here, in the ribbon, there's an XM SendSecure plugin area where you can, if you want, drive to the browser and open up a browser session in order to access SendSecure. Or you can just start on a new message. Sometimes what happens is you're already working away on an email, and it turns out you might need to send it a little bit more securely. Rather than copying, pasting, and restarting it all, there is a convert button. So you can just click on that, and then it converts that email into a SendSecure session. And then you can do everything that we just did in the web portal. We can add our attachments. We can add our recipients here. You have all the security options that were available through the web client. Once again, from the drop-down here, I can see my extreme restricted option, my sender's choice, public low security. Everything that you can do in the web client is available through here, covering the security options, how the authentication is managed, participants, the life cycle of the box, and the encryption settings. So this is showing you how you can do it via Outlook with our Outlook plugin. I'm just going to drive back to our web browser here to show you. Within the browser section itself, you do have those histories of those safe boxes that you worked with on the left-hand side here. Here's previous ones that I worked with. You can see, I'll just show you the activity details area. As we talked about, SendSecure is going to keep an event log, or an audit trail, if you will. All the activity details can be seen through here. I can see who the owner was, the security profile settings for this particular safe box, the participants that were invited, and you can even see if they downloaded the attachments or added or read any messages. The files that you upload will be imprinted with a digital fingerprint so that if any files are changed after the fact, you can compare that against the original fingerprint here. And then towards the bottom, you see the event histories. So as we talked about, XM SendSecure is going to log and record everything that's occurring, what time that event took place, and what the event was, and even the IP address that it took place from. So I can see here that this document was downloaded by this particular recipient from this IP address at this time, for example. Will all be logged and recorded. After the safe box is closed, if the content is deleted, you still have that audit trail or the event log or activity details available to you. Now, SendSecure also offers the option to do this in a reverse flow, if you will. So if you have third-party recipients that need to share files with you, we have what we call a secure link that you could embed into your email signature, for example, or you could place on your company website so that recipients can click on that link, perform the exact same process, and open up a safe box on behalf of you, upload files for you, and share them securely. So they don't have to sign up for anything, and they don't need to be a part of the SendSecure platform. All they need is an email address, and you can share files with them, and they can do the same for you. So that'll conclude the live demo portion of our presentation today. So now I'll go ahead and drive back to and share out my PowerPoint presentation here, if I can find the right piece. All right. So let's continue on with the presentation here. Before we do move on, I would like to take a moment to address any questions that you might have typed into the chat room. Let me go ahead and see what we have here. I see one question about calculating a SendSecure quote. So this looks like a sales-related question from Marta. So Marta, we can get in touch at the end of the session. I can have our sales reps get in contact with you in order to how to generate SendSecure quotes. So we realize when it comes to software solutions, you do have choices in the market. And now I'd like to share why that choice should be XMedius. Other competitive solutions require some sort of registration process or download, and this reduces adoption rates and causes confusion in some cases with recipients who may not be as technical as you folks on the line today. So, as I mentioned, with XM SendSecure, simplicity is our model, and there is nothing to download and register for, and this means no passwords to forget. Workforces today are mobile, which is why mobility is so important. We work with any device, anywhere, anytime. All you need is either our mobile app, both for iOS and Android, or a web browser. And flexibility, we can transfer any file type from data to audio and video. Our flexibility only stops with file sizes that exceed 5 terabytes in size, which is pretty large. Just to give you an idea how large that is, that's over 6,000 hours of streaming video. Collaborative. At the end of the day, we all jump through these hoops to not only keep information out of the wrong hands, but to stay in compliance with the many regulations that we must adhere to. We have the feature sets to keep you compliant and the signed audit records to prove it. And what's most important of all is what's of value to our end users. Our customers enjoy the following value proposition. You can now get rid of those expensive and difficult to embrace and use FTP servers and other complex solutions. You can now send your large files with ease so that your employees will actually use the system. Your adoption rate to send secure information safely will rise with XM SendSecure. You can rest assured that we are using the best encryption technology available in transit and at rest to keep your files secure. At the end of the day, companies are looking to minimize risk, keep in compliance, and avoid litigation and costly fines that can ruin an organization's reputation. This is the value that XM SendSecure brings to you. Simple to use and administer, XM SendSecure on-premise and cloud yields considerable and rapid ROI. And with that, we'll conclude our webinar. And I'd like to open up for any final questions you might have. Feel free to use the raise your hand feature or enter your questions into either the chat or the Q&A portion. All right, I don't see any questions in the chat or the Q&A. So we'll go ahead and conclude with the final slide here. XM SendSecure was built from the ground up with the latest innovation in the security space in mind. The best news is that it was all developed under one roof, which means that ongoing support and developments will continue to be provided by XMedius. This provides our clients the highest level of customer satisfaction along security challenged race that has no finish line. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your participation in the webinar today. As I mentioned, the webinar will be recorded. We'll send you a link to it if you do need to review it at a later time. And we'll also contact anybody that had a question raised today. And we can also send you a link to that video if you weren't able to hear it. So once again, thank you very much for joining the web session today. And we look forward to having you as a customer. Have a great afternoon.